Got? How much time have you got left?
You have lots of time, maybe.
Lots of time?
I have no idea. I like.
We got 10 minutes?
Oh yeah, you got time.
Okay.
I don't know. Have you watched?
I'm going to read actually a short chapter out of The Fisher Queen, which is about another kind of love. And this chapter is called The Salmon Prince. This is about how one does fall in love with things other than humans. There is nothing I wouldn't do. I would turn myself inside out to prove I could do it, anything. I was fierce, a lioness padding around my 39-foot territory. Bring it on, I snarled. Think I'm too girly? Bring it on. Think I'm too little? Bring it on. Think I'm too citified? Bring it on. I could sleep less, eat less, learn faster, make fewer mistakes and be more cheerful than any deckhand in this fleet. And when he told me not to, because it was too heavy or too dangerous, I'd wait till he was napping or distracted, and then I'd do it anyway and find a better way to do it. It was a rare and glorious days of oily smooth seas, caressing breeze, benign sun, and all the world rejoiced. At least this little part of it did. Those were the days so full of God's grace, when Gaia was her most loving and tender, and I couldn't imagine being anywhere or doing anything else. There'd been nothing on the lines for the last 2 pulls, and there wasn't another boat for miles. We'd scrubbed and organized, repaired and patched, tied more gear, and checked the glistening beauties lined up in their chilly beds like dollars in the till, their gutted bellies chubby with crushed ice in the hold. I was secretly thrilled when he announced he was hitting the bunk for a nap. The autopilot was working for once, and all I had to do was keep an eye on things. Don't get yourself into trouble, he said, reminding me he wouldn't hear me through the sleep and the engines thrumming. I'd surprise him. When he woke up, I'd wait until he staggered out on the deck, blinking and yawning, glancing around for evidence of my folly. He'd see none. I'd pretend to be bored and make small talk, then I'd casually mention that something got left behind the last time we dressed and iced the fish. He'd sigh and bitch about dried up fish and lost money and yank the bin cover off, and there my prize would be. Huge, perfect, magnificent, and were 3 days of groceries. He would never interfere with the fish on my side again, and I'd pull in my own damn smileys, and I would smile and smile, just like the name intended me to do. I took a deep breath and climbed into my Helly Hansons and gumboots and cinched them up good and tight. I did an all-points check, walked carefully along the deck, and eased myself into the cockpit. One more scan and a prayer to the salmon spirits. I checked the gear, his side first. I willed everything into silence. If we woke up, it would ruin everything. The usual pull, grab, throw of the gear elevated to a martial art. Be the motor liver, be the spinning gurney, the steel line, the clips, the hooches and hooks, the flashers, swivels and leads. But there was only one little brown sockeye, which I set aside for the oven, and a couple of brown bombers, the pesky local rock cod, which I graciously unhooked and released. Undaunted, I knew my prize, my salmon prince, awaited me on my side of the boat, the good side. I paused to scan around us again. No point making a big score if someone ran into the boat 20 miles offshore. The time was 9, and I moved to magic side. Bow cable, nothing. Main cable, nothing. How could 30 gear lines be empty? Pig cable. I counted down 10 lines, only 5 more to go. If they were empty, I would lose my chance, and the skipper would wait before the next pull. Please, please, please be there. And on the 4th line, he was. I felt him before I saw him, a slight thrumming tension as I unclipped the purlon from the line. Reclipping it, I nudged the motor lever forward to stop the cable from spooling onto the gurdy drum. My heart kicked up a notch as I whispered instructions and encouragements to myself. If you don't secure the line, he could yank it out of your hands. Don't jerk the line or make sudden noises, or he'll bolt. If he's not hooked hard, he'll jerk his head and pull the hook out. With both hands, I transferred the clip to the holding wire on the inside edge of the stern. I breathed deep, and eased into stillness, utterly focused. The world telescope down to a scarred wooden ledge, a purlon line, and 5 feet of silky water. I seduced the line in, hand over hand, a few inches at a time. The surface of the water bulged slightly, and there was his dark back fin, and miles behind the tip of his tail, languidly sweeping from side to side. I drew him to the stern, transfixed by his muscular, graceful beauty. He showed me first one side, then the other. Am I not exquisite? He said. Am I not a miracle of perfection? I understood why the ancients sang songs of love and gratitude to the plant and animal beings around them. I understood why they asked permission to take lives that sustained their own, why they perform rituals of gratitude and humility. It wasn't just to ensure future plenty, but to honor their partners in the depths of life and death. I felt my heart swell with joy and the cooling tracks of tears on my face. Shaking, I reached for the spiked gaff. It was too massive to pull in by the line. The hook had pierced just inside the corner of his mouth. If the hook held, the line would slice my hands open, hauling him in. My only chance was to hit him precisely behind his head with the club side of the gaff to stun him, so I could haul him over the stern by the hook side. I brought the gaff down and missed. He swam gently. I hit again and missed. By then I was weeping. He continued sweeping gently. Please forgive me. I don't know how to get you in, I whispered. My civilized mind recognized the madness in this, but it came from a great distance. I couldn't bear to club him again, to submit him to my clumsy attempts. This time I reached down as far as the waist-high stern would allow. Balanced on the transom, I tipped forward and slipped the gaff hook under his gill. What madness is this? One lurch and I would launch headfirst into the chuck to be his briny bride forever. But he held steady and leaned gently to his other side. I wondered if I was just dreaming. I'm going to pull you into the boat now, I crooned. Easing back to the floor, I started to haul him out of the water. He was impossibly heavy, and I was too short to get the leverage I needed. I grunted and strained and begged him not to thrash, begged every deity I knew, and some I didn't, to help me. I was shaking with tension and wondered how long he would tolerate dangling in another element. The skipper had lost a monster spring the day before. Just as he was pulling it over the ledge by the gaff, the fish freed itself with a mighty twist and flung itself back into the water. In my other life, I would have cheered it on, but we were so damn broke I cursed its freedom. It felt like someone had opened my wallet and torn up the money right in front of my face, or stolen my food or my shoes. The princess head appeared at the stern ledge, and I crouched lower, straining every muscle in my body. The ocean and I had given birth to this beautiful, slimy creature, and with one more grunting cry, he slithered over the stern and into the cockpit, where he slowly flapped and gasped. I couldn't bear to see him drowning, and struggled to lift him into the bin, cradled in my arms. I stroked his luminous flank once, thanked him for the gift of himself, and then hit him hard, precisely behind his head. When the skipper stumbled out onto the deck, blinking and yawning, he glanced around for signs of my falling. Instead, he found me sitting quietly on the hatch cover, gazing at the hazy line of lands. I was too tired to lift my prize into the dressing tray. He did. He didn't insist on dressing him. I did. He took a photo of me in my Helly Hansons and gumboots, and I braced the prince against me. Hands in gills, knees bent from his weight. His nose was at my heart, his tail at my knees. He was as wide as my body was thick. Bob, the camp manager, weighed him in at 52 pounds and called everyone down, his wife Margie, Annie, the first aid accountant, his son-in-law Mike, and the 2 summer boys who were shoveling ice and packing fish on the wharf, all the folks who were becoming a little like family. My prince was the best they'd seen so far that year. The admiring nods and incredulous stares of the camp staff and other fishermen who wandered over to find out what all the fuss was about made everything worthwhile. The worrying, the weariness, the bangs and cuts, the raw wounds. Thank you.